Well, it's the day after the US Open, and what a finish. Congrats to Bryson DeChambeau, and gee, wouldn't Rory love that putt back again. Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen will have a look at it all today on Talk Birdie To Me. It's week 25 of the golfing year, and we're live from Australian Golf Headquarters, home of the PGA of Australia and Golf Australia. And we couldn't be here without our great supporters, and we'd love you to support them in turn. If you haven't downloaded the new Watch My Numbers app, it's the most powerful database golf app in the world. You can download from the App Store or Google Play. Play smarter and use your data. And Ping, they'll help you play your best, just like they have for Nick O'Hearn for years. You can see your local golf shop or professional and arrange a Ping Club fitting today. And the Golf Clearance Outlet. Their Black Friday and June sale continues. Up to 66% off everything in-store and online. golfclearanceoutlet.com.au. And now, former world number 16 Nick O'Hearn and former Tour Pro Mark Allen. This is Talk Birdie To Me.
So I don't know about you, Nicholas, because I know you were at Royal Melbourne watching the US Open in their traditional breakfast. I was standing up. I wasn't sitting on my couch. I reckon I was standing up the last 4 holes of that US Open. What was it like at Royal?
Stunned silence, actually, when it was over and Bryson made that finishing putt. But I probably arrived just after 7 a.m. our time, obviously, and it was a room full of guys just watching the golf before we're all going out. I got invited by Jed Brooke, Mark Rothfield and Nick Gold. Royal Melbourne, by the way, is in fantastic condition. Shout out to Matt from Barwon Heads. No, I'm kidding. It was a lovely morning, but it was funny. We saw Rory had, what did he have, a 2-shot lead with 4 to go?
2-shot lead.
And I said to I'm saying this because this is exactly what I said to my playing partners as we were sitting there. I said, 4 pars and you win the US Open. Yeah. And Peter Thompson always spoke about this. He said, figure out how to par the last 4 holes in the golf tournament because somewhere along the line you're going to need to do it. As it turned out, he only needed to make 3 pars to win. And then obviously what unfolded as 15, firstly. I didn't see his shot in. I saw when he finished, so I'm thinking it was either a miss club or the adrenaline going long on 15, because that is a massive mistake to go long there.
To go long was unbelievable. And this is what I wanted to bring up with you.
Okay. Let's talk it through.
Let's talk about the caddy in this situation, giving him a 7-iron.
We have spoken about his caddy. I've made my feelings known.
Yeah.
He's
Rory
nice
McIlroy.
guy.
If you don't know, Rory McIlroy has got a very good friend caddy.
Yes. Best
He
mate.
hasn't been a long-term, hardened caddy. It's Rory's best mate.
Mm-hmm.
And I reckon Rory has gone, I'll hit this 7-iron into the front of the green and it'll pop up and stop.
Yeah.
Now, that's the wrong shot in that situation. You just take the club that will not go over the back.
2-shot lead. All you're playing for is front edge.
That's it. You just take the club that cannot possibly go over the back no matter what. Even if it's short and you've got a chip up there, just don't go over the back. Kid let him hit a 7-iron.
Where did it fly to, the 7-iron? Middle of the green?
I can't remember.
Okay.
But all I remember was I knew in his follow-through that he knew it was too much. He did the double knee bend.
Oh.
The double knee bend, it's a ripper in professional golf. It's like you see players do it when they get a flyer out of the rough. They just know it's come out hot.
Or sit down.
You've done the sit. Yeah, that's right. You go sit. So you do the double knee bend.
Or you do the click of the fingers.
Yeah. Stop. He had the double knee bend going real early, and it landed in the. I think it landed in the middle of the green. It was going in lower than what he had hoped for, and it just went straight over the back.
He did well to make 4 from there, to be honest.
Yeah,
that was. I saw the chip shot and everything. I didn't see the approach. I saw where it finished.
In the sandy rubbish.
Oh, this isn't good.
No, he made such good contact to keep it on the green. But it was a beautiful recovery.
But going back to your point, if he had a Billy Foster on the bag, it's like, Rory, let's hit a hard 8-iron.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere near the back. I'm not giving you a club that has a chance of going long.
Yeah. Even, you know what? Bryson hit a 9-iron.
Did he?
I mean, Bryson's
I know his 9-irons
they're
are different.
tipped upside down. Just the 8-iron.
Yeah. He hit a pure shot in there, by the way.
Yeah,
Bryson.
he did. Yeah, he hit a lot of pure shots, Bryson. I mean, we'll talk as the day unfolded, okay? So Rory McIlroy, birdie's the first. Bogey's a par 5 early. Did he birdie the first?
He did.
Bogey's a par 5 early, the first par 5. and then goes on a birdie blitz.
He got unlucky on that par 5, didn't he? It rolled. I saw a highlight where good shot in and it rolled off the front into an awkward spot.
Anyway, he's away.
Yep.
He's absolutely away. In the meantime, Bryson is last for fairways hit for the day. Absolutely last. Kept on getting decent breaks. I only saw him get one bad break where he actually had to chip out sideways when there was a big bush right in front of him. Okay. And that was about, I don't know what all it was, towards the end.
Well, you're playing with fire, hitting it into that wiregrass.
Some of the places where he was hitting as hard as he possibly could, it was just head-scratching stuff, but he kept on kind of getting away with it. Mm-hmm. It was remarkable. Rory's got the 2-shot lead, but you can say the missed 2.5-footer, you can say the 3-footer at the end, but I reckon he knew he did something really bad at 15, where he took the 7-iron and tried to hit a half one. And you only need to make one mistake in those pressure-heated situations where little mistakes can then creep in.
Yep.
Bogey's the next one as well with the missed 2.5-footer, his first missed 2.5-footer for the entire season.
Yeah, inside 3 feet, he was 496 from 496 standing over that putt.
Yep, that's it.
And I saw, again, looking at his routine, for me, he took a split second too long, and you could tell he was trying to steer it in.
Yeah, I'm with you. I could see it was a save in the follow through. You can see him trying to hold open the follow through. I'm with you a bit. I felt like he was trying to be too exact with his aiming with the short putts in the end. But look, in saying that, he got up and down at 17. And he held a fabulous 4-footer at 7.
Very good 4-footer after just missing a 2.5-footer on 16.
But then, he's put on 18, Nick. I mean, I know you saw where he was aiming like I saw when he was aiming. He was aiming, I'm thinking...
He's trying to hit a high cut.
No, sorry, I'm talking about the putt.
Okay, so I'm sitting there at Royal Melbourne with my playing partners, and where he's chipped it to, I've said, guys, this is the worst possible spot he could have hit this chip shot. I knew, because it's straight downhill, it's left to right, and he's got two choices. He's either got to go firm, just on top of left edge, or he's got to go about half a cup to a cup left and die it in.
And hope.
He actually, from what I saw, he hit a good putt, but he underread it.
Yep.
That was not a bad stroke. That's just a misread.
I'm with you.
Yep.
I could see him aiming. You could see his putter, that mallet that he uses
just on top of the left.
And the ball started outside left.
Yep.
Which I reckon he would have been aiming. He's going to softly dribble it. He's going to start it outside and just let it drift in, and it turned
like anything.
Like anything. And that's the sort of stuff happens when you make mistakes. So he wrong clubbed on 15. He misses a 2.5-footer on 16.
And that's all mental.
He hits it left on 17.
Mm-hmm.
And then... Well, he's hit a bad drive on 18, but it's a hard fairway to hit.
He almost got all the way through, actually, on 18.
Yeah, he got unlucky.
He pumped it.
He got unlucky with the lie. He did the right thing. Kind of got lucky by missing the right... And then missed the 3-footer as well.
Yeah, because the other thing you got to do on 15 is you got to factor in adrenaline.
Yeah.
That's one thing you got to do on those sorts of shots, and he pumped it over the back, as we already said. So that's going to be such a...
How do you recover from that?
It's been 10 years. I mean, I was sick watching it.
Yeah, I was sick too.
I was sick. And when Bryson, it's funny, Bryson hits it left off 18, got a bad break, didn't have much of a backswing. I thought the last place he needs to hit this is that front right bunker, because then you're thinking, well, he'll probably chunk it out to 30. I actually thought for a moment, he might chunk it out to 20 feet where Payne Stewart was, and he'll hold the putt, do a Payne.
Yeah.
But what a bunker shot.
Oh, just
what
incredible.
A bunker shot.
With the 55 degree.
Is that going to be a masterclass, or a short putt's going to be a masterclass?
No, short. No, it's pressure putting.
Okay, good.
Pressure putting. I see a real common mistake for a lot of people when they are under pressure and they've got a 3 or 4 footer. And I'll explain a little bit later in the masterclass.
Yeah.
I don't reckon that Rory did it all the time. I'm pretty sure he did it on 16 with the 2.5 footer. Okay. I'm pretty sure he did it there. Yeah. Let's pump up Bryson, because some of the irons that he hit towards the end, I mean, on that par 3, the 15th hole, he took a club that could not possibly go over the back, and he swung at it as hard as he possibly could and hit a ripper.
But then he 3-putted.
Yeah, that happens. But he stayed true to a lot of what he did.
Well, he almost the previous hole, the 14th, I thought he'd missed that one as well for par. He pulled that a little, goes in the left edge, and then this putter thinking he's going to push this, and sure enough, he just pushed it a little, misses it, and you go, wow, okay, Rory, it is yours for the taking now. But to credit Bryson, that swing he put on the iron into 16, the one into 17, Very impressive.
Impressive. And I'll tell you the other thing. I reckon he's driving on day 3. That set his tournament up. I've never seen anybody hit so many fairways at a US Open swinging that hard. I don't think... I'll actually get the stats out in a tick. But can you explain to people the difference between US Open fairways and Pinehurst US Open fairways?
Well, there's more room at Pinehurst, I would say. Firstly, normally the fairways at typical US Opens, the ones I played, were somewhere between 20 to 25 yards wide.
Yeah,
and then off the cut of the fairway, it's just deep rough.
Yeah,
very, very thick, and the longer you are, the better in those scenarios because you can hack it out and get it up close to the green.
Yeah.
Pinehurst, as we saw, a lot firmer, wider fairways, a bit more room to work the ball. You could shape it, you could do various things, but then it was luck of the draw with the wiregrass. And I think with Bryson, because of his length, he got away with a lot because and he got some decent lies. And if you're further up, then it obviously is a little bit easier to play out of those lies. So just a very different golf course for US Open, and I loved it.
So driving distance on day 3.
I'm assuming Rory and Bryson were probably number 1 in driving distance over the course of the tournament.
Would you believe he was second in day 3 with 344.1 yards average off the tee? So he's hitting at 344 yards on average, and he hit 8 of 14 greens. I just think that is staggering to be actually swatting the club like he did. Now,
well, those greens are some of the hardest to hit in the world, by the way.
Now, would you believe that Bryson changed his driver on the last day?
Did he really?
After that round of golf.
Why?
He changed driver head. I've got no idea.
Did he crack the face, maybe?
I've got no idea.
Because that'd be an issue for him commonly, I would imagine, as the face gets probably out of regulation.
Yeah.
It might either cave in or something like that.
So on the last day, he was tied 73rd, which is last for fairways. For fairways hit, he was dead last of the people still playing.
Wow.
And he was averaging 338.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't popping off the face like the day before.
How many greens in reg did he hit on
greens in regulation?
Final round.
He hit 11 of 18 greens.
Okay.
Pretty good in the US Open.
Yeah.
When you're leading.
When you don't hit a fairway.
And let's just see what else I can find. Strokes gained approach, he was minus 0.6, but that's expected. Strokes gained short game, he was plus 1.3. Strokes gained off the tee, even though he was last in fairways hit, he was above average in the field.
Wow. Yeah. It was a brutal thing to watch. I feel for Rory, I really do, but I don't agree with him leaving 5 minutes straight after Bryson finishes or whatever, however long it was.
It was 6 minutes and the wheels were spinning outside.
You've got to stay. You've got to say, and all credit to Bryson at the PGA.
Yep.
When Xander won, beat him by a shot, he stood there and he waited for Xander and said, well done, congratulations. But Rory, I'm sorry, buddy, but you got to hang around and you got to face the music because he's going to be remembered for this.
Yeah. There's footage of him literally spinning the wheels. Not that big a spin,
right?
But the wheels were spinning.
Oh, really? Okay.
Just a little bit. Yeah, he was just a little.
He was annoyed.
He was annoyed.
That was a bit like me after the match play. Going,
probably yes.
Getting done for speeding.
I wonder if he's in jail as we speak. There was 6 minutes afterwards. So he didn't hang around. I didn't see him shake hands with Bryson, which I think he should have.
Should have.
I'm with you.
Yep.
He should have been shaking hands. He should have been second or third in line, if not first, right there and saying, congratulations, you're too good for me today.
Because he basically almost had his, as Australians, we all remember Greg Norman back in 1996. Yep. He's had that moment where it's a meltdown for him and he kind of threw up all over himself, basically, and that's what happened to Norman back at the Masters. Now, to Norman's credit, he faced the music, he went to the press centre and did the media, did the interviews and went through it, and people loved him for it. And unfortunately with Rory in this case, people are going to remember.
So, strokes gained off the tee for Rory, talking about just how well he drove the ball, plus 1.61.
Mm-hmm.
So he's driven it, he was second. Strokes gained approach after all those wonderful drives.
Yep.
He was 69th at minus 1.67.
Wow.
So
that's round 4. Okay. Yeah.
His irons in and his late putting have caused issues. But when you drive it that well, I mean, honestly, you are you're expecting. And it's not like he's a bad wedge player either.
Yeah,
You know,
strokes
he's a
gained off the
good
tee
wedge player.
second, and basically in the bottom 5 approach.
Yeah, bottom 5 left, 69.
That's incredible.
Only 74 players made the cut.
And
so, I mean, that tells the story in itself, doesn't it?
yeah, and as you know, I've harped on this a little bit, his routine. If he has Ludwig Aberg's routine,
wow.
I don't think it's going to be a shootout between Scheffler and Rory every week, I think.
Yeah.
Because towards the end, he started getting the extra looks again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's usually 6 or 7, but
Yeah.
there was 9, 10 looks on a couple of the last few swings, and you can tell he's thinking about it. Now, certain players do that because they're trying to narrow their focus, but for Rory, I don't think that works for him.
Yeah. Now, Johnson Wagner, you weren't.
I didn't see this,
you
but I
didn't
heard
see
about
this.
it. Yeah, tell us.
So, Johnson Wagner, if you've been watching the coverage all week, you know, he did some great stuff beforehand, talking to play. He spoke to Cameron Smith there, and Cameron Smith gave a chipping lesson from tight cooch onto the ultra dwarf Bermuda greens.
Okay.
And it was just so beautiful to listen to. You know, everything that you talk about week in, week out about how you hit chips and, you know, bounce is your friend. And when you've got these greens, speed is your friend if you're doing a dove. All the stuff that you go on and on about. And it was just beautiful to listen.
And Johnson needs help too.
And Johnson needs some real help. And no one could help Johnson. Anyway, so he's been hitting these really horrible shots, Johnson, when it's his turn to go.
Yeah.
And that's made him a lovable figure.
Oh, everyone loves it. Yeah.
And he keeps on going back for more, and he keeps on stuffing it up. And then it goes back, and you see McGinley and Brandel, and they just don't know where to look. You know, they're half laughing. Anyway, so it's dark. The tournament is over. It's now, you know, here's Johnson Wagner showing how to hit the shot that won the tournament, which was Bryson's long 55-yard bunker shot. Mm-hmm. And he's going through it. He hits a shot, and the shot goes screaming over the, you know, over the green. He was worried about breaking a window in the clubhouse with his 50-degree. And then out of nowhere, Bryson turns up with the US Open trophy. What? Takes the microphone, talks him through the shot.
Really?
Talks him through the shot.
What did he say?
Oh, you couldn't hear it. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
Talks him through the shot, and Johnson Wagner hits it to 6 inches.
No.
He hit it to 6 inches, Nick. And then Bryson gave Johnson Wagner the US Open trophy. And it was just, you know, better golf TV you've never seen.
That is content king right there.
Better. It was just brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Johnson's one of the nicest guys too. He's so good.
And Johnson did actually ask Bryson, he said, did you think about maybe hitting the clubhouse when you were about to play that shot?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, it was in the back of my mind.
Well, if you're watching it all, you understand why.
My goodness.
Hey, Scotty Scheffler was paying $3.75 at the start of the week.
Yeah.
Have you had a look at his scores?
I had a look at his stats. He was last in putting going into the final round.
In putting.
Yeah, and he finished tied 70th in strokes gained putting for the week, and there was 74 guys that made the weekend.
Tell me this: you've seen those greens live, and they seem much faster than the 3 previous US Opens at Pinehurst number 2.
Well, they switched from the bent to the Bermuda. Yeah,
that's right. Mm-hmm. And you know the Bermuda, the ultra dwarf Bermuda greens. There's another name for them, but that's the sort of strain that they are. Mm-hmm. They get shiny.
Yes.
And
it's almost as though the ball is skimming along the surface when it gets like that too.
I would love to see a slow-mo, you know, the ultra slow-mo on bent grass greens versus those greens, because I reckon it would skid so much more.
Because it's got nothing to grip onto, basically.
Yeah, that's right. It would just
all
slide across.
It's like putting on ice.
So when you drop a ball off the what's the stim meter? So when you drop a ball off the stim meter, it's already rolling. So the skid is not factored into how quick these greens are. But I think the Bermuda greens running at 13 are actually maybe a foot and a half faster than bent greens running at 15. Now that's just my gut feel.
You're probably right. From
playing on both surfaces. I know Royal Queensland, when we used to play there, and Australian PGAs and stuff, the ball would, you'd chip and the ball would kind of do what you thought it would do.
Yep.
But quite often, this Victorian would hit a putt and it would go racing past. And I'd be scratching my head going, now what has happened there?
Yeah.
I just didn't get it. Now, they weren't ultra dwarf Bermuda. They were just dwarf Bermuda back in the day when I was playing. But you would have seen those types of greens over there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
they look much better on the telly.
They do.
Much less patches.
Yeah, and when they get shiny, you get that down grain one where you look at it and then the pin's on this precipice and you're thinking, I could easily putt this off the green. I mean, Rory putted it off the green on, was it 17 the other day? And then he chipped it in for the par, obviously. But, my goodness, they get super quick. And Scotty Scheffler, to your point, he really struggled. I was just looking up.
Give us a look.
So he was 5th in strokes gained for the week in approach.
Fifth.
He was fourth in greens in regulation. And he was basically almost last in the number of putts and strokes gained putting.
Okay, so if you told me that Scotty Scheffler before the week was going to finish 5th in strokes gained tee to green?
Yeah, well, normally he's number one. Normally he's number one and he finishes middle of the field putting and he wins. But so this time he just putted poorly.
And hit it poorly for his standards.
Well, for his standards, yes. He didn't hit it as good as he normally does.
Right.
But he was still 5th, by the way, in strokes gained approach, which is kind of the stat, which is very important, obviously. And then, but his putting was abysmal. And again, reading a little bit about what he was saying, he just couldn't read the greens. And that was what he was really struggling with. So,
I wanted to talk about the young amateur player who.
Oh, Shipley. He had a bit of a shootout coming down the end with the other amateur, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. But Neil Shipley now becomes one of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 players in the history of golf have won the low amateur at the US Masters and the US Open.
Wow.
So players like Billy Joe Patton, never heard of him, 1954. Harvey Ward, I've heard of him. Wouldn't know him if he walked in this room, 1955.
He's part of the match.
That's it.
If you remember that.
Ken Venturi in 1956.
Another person part of the match.
You would have heard of this bloke. Jack Nicklaus in 1960.
Okay, yeah.
Ric Flair in 1984. Sam Randolph, 1986. Phil Mickelson, 1991. Matt Kuchar, 1998. Victor Hovland in 2019. And Neil Shipley in 2024. I like the way he plays. He's fun to watch. He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
He's real fun to watch.
Yeah, they showed him driving the 13th green. Was it 13?
Yeah.
Or was it the 3rd? No, the 3rd yesterday sorry, not yesterday, in the third round of the tournament where he drove it on. He was the first player to do it because they'd moved the tees forward and things like that. But he's got a bit of something, a bit of moxie about him, a bit of charisma. It'll be fun when he turns pro.
So, how long before we see Rory McIlroy contending in a major again?
Oh,
I mean, I hope he does well at this British Open coming up. I mean, it's one of those situations.
It'll be redemption if he does.
You want to get back on the horse pretty quick.
Yeah. It was so hard to watch. It was funny. I mean, people were sitting there at Royal Melbourne. People, were going for Bryson, but I think everyone was more going for Rory.
Yeah.
And when the winning putt went in, just the air went out of the room. It was kind of silence, which was very interesting. And it was as we were walking out to the tee to go out and play, we were almost just wanting to vomit. It was so bad. And you felt so bad for the guy.
Ill.
Yeah, ill.
Ill.
Exactly.
Just sick in the pit of your stomach.
Because I know the feeling. I've done it before myself. It's horrible.
We have all done it before.
We've all vomited all over ourselves on the golf course.
When it's in that point, though, and you haven't won a major for 10 years, and here's your chance, you're 2 in front with 4 to play.
Yeah. And you were talking, you as I walked in here, you mentioned some stats on players that haven't won or their last major, and you go, really? That's when Seve won his last major and Arnold Palmer won his last major? And it was around Rory's age or even younger, right?
Yeah, let me find it. Hang on a second.
I think it was Arnold Palmer. He might have been 34 when he won his last major.
So, I saw this tweet. His name's Robert Lustig.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
Rob, he's great. He's a journo over in America, a lefty too.
Yeah, that's it.
Shout out to Rob.
Rory's 35 years old. Arnie won the 64 Masters, his 7th major. He was 34 and no one thought he'd never win another major. Seve stopped winning majors at 31. Tom Watson, this surprised me, at 34.
Mm-hmm.
Gene Sarazen, a kabillion years ago, heard around the world, 31. Nelson, 33. He's got here Ernie Els at 32. That's a mistake, Rob, because he won a British Open in 2012.
Yeah.
So he was 42. You've got 32. So it is not guaranteed in life that you will continue to win majors. But when you get scarred, like that's scarring.
There's some serious scar tissue from that.
Like it's at a point where I wouldn't be surprised if he came back holding the club with a different grip. Like he's gone to a claw or something. Oh. You want him to get back on and you want him to perform straight away because he's such a big factor in golf. You just want him to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Otherwise, Bryson DeChambeau and, dare I say, Live Golf have got themselves a scalp.
Yeah. Where are they playing? I think, are they playing this week or next week at Live?
I don't know.
Can't remember. We've got Travellers Championship coming up this week.
Yeah.
Which I think is a signature event. So the players, yes, it is a signature event.
So they've got to back up.
They have
after
to go.
That.
They have to go. Scotty,
Rory's got to back up
and
after
Rory.
That. Oh, my God.
I wonder if he'll be doing any media before the tournament starts. He may just pull out and just take the fine. Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. That's going to be a tough one.
That is going to be a tough one. What's your top five? Because
top five.
I'm on the ninth green and I'm gagging.
Feeling ill.
Yes, I'm still feeling ill.
We need some Panadol, some Epsom salts, like Bryson does with his golf balls. It's going to be the top five most notable missed short putts in a major.
Yeah, okay.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
I was thinking about best long bunker shots. But no, we're going to go with the best, not the best, but the worst.
The most memorable missed short putts
in major championship history.
By the way, Live Golf looks like it's in Nashville this weekend.
They're going to be loving it.
Yeah,
the Shark will be up and about.
Righto, I'll see you on the 10th tee.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to Talk Birdie to Me, and if you're up for it, we'd love you to subscribe, rate and share the podcast wherever you listen. And thanks to our great partners who make the show possible, Ping, they'll help you play your best, Watch My Numbers, the most powerful database golf app in the world, and the Golf Clearance Outlet. They beat everyone's prices. Now, back to Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
So I still feel sick.
Yeah. Well, hey, Mark,
I've had a Barocca at the halfway mark for the first time in my life.
After this segment, you're going to feel even worse. Because you know what time it is.
It's time for this week's Top 5.
Top five.
I reckon you might be feeling sick from the 7 party pies you just hoovered
down. They were very nice.
They were. And you've recovered well, I heard, from the Kingston Heath annual dinner the other night.
I don't even want to talk about it.
My playing partner today, Nick Gold, said, just ask Mark how he was feeling. So anyway.
I don't drink too often, but I did on Friday night, and I'm still regretting it.
How'd you feel on Saturday?
I've still got tired eyes.
Right.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Anyway. And then you got a fright on Sunday with the Pies in North Melbourne.
I just leave. I've just had a rotten week.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yep, fair enough. All right, top 5. Most memorable missed putts in a major. And starting with number 5, this actually might be the shortest of them all. 2012, the ANA Inspiration, which is a major on the LPGA Tour. IK Kim had a 1-foot putt.
A 1-foot putt?
1-foot putt to win the golf tournament and horseshoed it, and then went and lost in a playoff.
Yuck.
That one's got to hurt.
Yeah.
That one's got to hurt. That's my number 5.
Yeah.
Thought about DJ putting him in there when you had Chambers Bay, but no, it's
pretty bumpy greens.
He had a bit of it's probably 4 feet too as well, so it wasn't that.
They were very, very bumpy greens. In fact, the only bloke who could hole, and he holed everything, was Spieth.
Yeah, you're actually right. Yeah.
He's the only one who kept on holding putts on those greens.
Putting on broccoli, they said.
Yep.
Number 4, speaking of bumpy greens, because they were very bumpy that year at Southern Hills, 2001 US Open. Retief Goosen had 2 putts from 15 feet below the hole to win. He knocked his first one about 2.5 feet past.
Yeah.
Didn't even touch the hole for his next one.
Not even close.
And then holed about a 3.5 footer to make it into the playoff against Mark Brooks. Now, the fortunate thing for Retief was he did win the 18-hole playoff the next day.
Was there another horrible miss?
And on that same green, about half an hour earlier, Stuart Sink missed about an 18-inch putt.
That's right. And he would have been in the playoff?
He would have got into the playoff. He didn't. At the time, he thought he was probably out of it because he figured that
Yeah.
It might have actually been the group before, because he figures, well, Retief's probably going to make par, but so he didn't think too much about it. But then obviously later you'd go, oh my god,
Oh my god.
But anyway, Stewart's done okay as well, because remember he beat Tom Watson at the British Open that time. So
Still can't
anyway,
believe he beat Tom.
he got lucky there. So no, he didn't. He's an outstanding player, Mr. Kitchen Sink. Okay, number 3. Well, I've got to go with Rory on 16 from 2.5 feet. Hasn't missed one in almost 500 attempts. He got a 2-shot lead. Well, it was probably a 1-shot lead at that stage.
Yep.
3 holes to go. He misses. It's just a tough one.
If I'm going to say it again. I know I don't want to go over and over and over. If Rory's caddy gave him an 8-iron on that tee, he wins the tournament.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And every good caddy who knows his stuff would never have given Rory a club that could go over the back.
Yeah, because he's probably starting to think about things as well going on. And he hit a good drive, good second shot into 16, but he just... And you put it up to 2.5 feet. You think that's fine, no problem.
No worries.
Anyway, that's my number 3. Number 2, he famously called himself Scott Choke, Mr. Scott Hoke.
Oh, my God.
The 1989 Masters has a 2-footer down the hill on the first playoff hole, the 10th green at Augusta National, to beat Nick Faldo of all people. And has, in his own words, I just choked.
That's it.
Yep.
He actually held a 4-footer coming back for the playoff
to
to
keep it
continue.
going. Yeah, and then Faldo won it on the next. So, good old Scotty. I've never spoken about that to him either, because he was a member at Isleworth in the US.
Kidding.
And I thought about asking him a couple of times and figured, better not.
There's a certain restaurateur in Auckland who asked him about it.
Yes, that is right. I didn't know whether I was going to tell the story or not.
Oh, really?
He came and played in the New Zealand Open tournament.
Okay.
And we were all invited back to this very famous kind of restaurant afterwards. And the Italian bloke was a mad golfer.
Mm-hmm.
And Scott Hoke complained about the meal. All right?
Really?
Just having some fun with the guy, right?
Yeah,
he wasn't really complaining. The meal was beautiful. And he said something about, this is what we have this in America, you don't have it. And he looked at Scott, he goes, "Oh, Mr. Hoke, what do you know? You joke, you joke." I couldn't believe it.
Oh.
No one could believe it.
Oof,
So
brutal.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
God.
All right, and my number 1, the most memorable of all. It's hard to go past this one. 1970, I think it was the British Open at St Andrews.
Yeah.
Lee Trevino was standing greenside watching his playing partner, Doug Sanders, got the 3-footer down the hill for the win to beat Jack Nicklaus. As he's over the ball, he reaches down, picks something up out of his line and just steps straight back over it and misses. Yeah. Needed to restart that one, obviously.
Do you know, years later,
he
admitted that there was nothing. He went down and picked
Really?
He picked nothing up.
Nothing up. Oh, my goodness.
He picked nothing up. And someone asked him one day, how often do you think about that? I think he said every single moment of every single day.
Yeah. I think he says something like, I don't think about it too much. Sometimes I'll go 10 minutes without thinking about it.
something like that. Something like that.
Anyway, that's my number 1. If you weren't feeling ill before, Mark, well, you will be now.
Hey, what was that noise?
Now, we had the voicemail noise, so we have a voicemail to check. But before we do that, I want to know from you guys, what's the shortest missed putt that you've each missed that you can't forget about?
That meant something.
Very easy for me. 2006 Australian PGA Championship, had 3-foot putt for the win. And I was thinking about my prize presentation before I got over the ball. What am I going to say at the speech? And pulled it, missed it. And I'll never forget that. But fortunately, 4 holes later, I won in a playoff. So
nice work.
Yeah, if I'd have lost that one, I don't think I'll ever get over it. Like Rory's going to take a while.
Now, for me, I was in the last group, in the last day, leading the tournament. I'm playing with Peter Senior and Glenn Joyner. They were both 1 shot behind me going into the last day. What's the name of the golf course?
Where was this? Not the Cannon Challenge.
Yeah, it was a Cannon.
Cherry Hills.
Cherry Hills. I was very nervous because I'm going to win this tournament. I was absolutely going to win.
You were positive.
I was positive.
Why were you nervous then?
Well, it was a big
Nervously
day.
confident.
It was a big day. Anyway, I had a 4-footer. I played the hole poorly, but I'd managed to chip it to 4 feet for birdie. And I just knew if I hold this putt, I'm away.
This is on the first.
I was on the first hole.
Okay.
And I put such a bad stroke on that 4-footer. I had a 5-footer coming back.
Did you make that one?
I made the 5-footer. It just snuck in. And then I watched Peter Senior put on a hitting display like I've never seen before. He was, there were pins cut tight to water, and he was drawing it over the water.
Oh, yeah.
And back to 10. Oh, I just couldn't believe
Give
it.
Pete a sniff, and he's going to take it.
Pete shot 66. I think
Yeah.
I shot 73. See you later.
Oh, well.
I'm not even sure I finished in the top 10 in the end.
It's good to see you're over it anyway.
Oh, it makes me sick.
The shoulders are stooping a little bit, even while you tell the story. Okay, let's check this voicemail.
You have one new voicemail. New message.
Good evening, Mark and Nick and Dan. I was just listening to the podcast again, number 66 from the Southern Golf Club,
This is Scott Laycock.
and heard you talking about the Australian Open back in 2002.
Love it.
I remember that quite vividly, as well, as I just finished runner-up the year before, and I thought I might have had a little bit of pull in my comments directed at Langers when he asked me after the Tuesday, what did you think of the course, mate? And I said, well, to be fair, it's Sunday's greens today. And it's disappointing that they didn't listen, not only to me, but a number of players would have mentioned it to him, how the course was set up and how fast the greens were rolling. Maybe that's something that they can look at in the future, is actually take on board what some of the players suggest, so we don't have that debacle in the future. Enjoy the podcast still, boys. Thanks very much. Bye.
Scotty Laycock, what a superstar human being you
What
are.
a guy. And he's down at Royal Hobart now.
The 2001 was at the Grand.
Yes.
Famously, trees in the middle of fairways.
Did you
drove
play that
everyone
year?
crazy. Yeah, I played that year.
They
Played
had,
okay.
they had one fairway, I remember, on the back nine that was impossible to hit.
Yeah, that's right.
Ball wouldn't stay in the fairway.
That's right. And it was a
Par
fair
five,
dinkum
I think.
shootout between Scotty Laycock and Stuart Appleby, who went on to win. But I reckon he played well a lot in Japan as well, Scotty Laycock.
He did.
And
Yeah,
I reckon
outstanding player.
Is it Royal Hobart these days?
Yes.
Doing some work down there?
Correct.
Is he the club pro down there or the director of golf? Good on you, Scotty.
Spot on too, I'd say, with the players.
Oh, yeah.
He was talking about the Australian Open at the Victoria Golf Club.
Yeah.
I remember arriving there on the Monday, and greens were brown, and they were double cutting and rolling them
That's
on
it.
the Monday.
They were already brown.
Went into the office and said, "Yeah, what are you doing, guys? Not sure this is a good idea." And anyway, there was plenty of comments from the players, and they said, "Don't worry, we got it under control." And
Oh, yeah.
obviously, what happened happened.
No, it went real well.
If you want to leave a voicemail for us, please feel free to. You can go to the website, talkbirdietome.com.au, and leave a voicemail.
Just like Scotty Laycock did. Good on you, Scotty.
Beautiful. Well, Pink Global results. I mean, I'm pumped now after that music. That's for sure. I don't think Rory will be
still
that pumped.
feeling
I wonder
sick.
what he's playing in the car actually to the airport. What do you think?
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
a little bit of, I don't know.
I think
I'm a loser, baby. So why don't you kill? No.
Hopefully, he wakes up tomorrow with a big hangover.
Yeah,
Hopefully he does.
Well, yeah. If he's
Drown
playing,
your
if
sorrows.
he's playing this week, who
Who
knows?
knows what might happen?
Anyway, it was the US Open, obviously, at Pinehurst number 2. I thought the golf course was outstanding. The wasteland areas, the wiregrass, the weather was perfect.
Weather was perfect.
Imagine if they'd have got some wind.
Oh,
That would have been brutal.
10 over wins.
Yeah, that's for sure. But, the golf course was phenomenal. Bryson DeChambeau, obviously, one-shot win over Rory McIlroy. How will we ever forget? But Tony Finau won the rounds of the day. 67 final round, finished in a tie for third with Patrick Cantlay. That was an interesting pairing for Rory, actually, Cantlay and Rory, because a bit of history there.
Yeah, and they handled themselves professionally.
Seemed that way,
Yeah.
yeah. And pace of play looked okay, too. I was a bit worried about, Cantlay's pretty slow and Bryson's slow, so I'm wondering how these last two groups were going to go keeping up. But
Yeah.
I think they did
No,
all right.
They were good. They
Yeah.
were good.
Also, Matthew Pavon. Pretty hard for him to play with Bryson in the final group. Had a good outstanding week as well, finishing fifth.
He is an outstanding player. And by the way, Bryson led in the Masters. He led in the USPGA at one stage, and now he's won. So he's had a huge year in the majors so
He could be
far.
going for a Grand Slam,
Yeah.
Of the Australians, Minwoo Lee, another good result for him, tied for 21st, and I believe that gets him into the Olympics.
Oh, does it?
apparently.
Righto. And is Minji Lee in there as well?
Minji's in there as well.
Brother,
So,
sister act at the Olympics. Isn't that great?
exactly. So a nice result for Minwoo, shot 71 final round. Tied for 32nd, we had Cameron Smith, shot a final round 72. Adam Scott came home in 69, a good result for him as well. And Ryan Fox tied for 56th in the end. In the LPGA, this is another tough one.
Heartbreaker.
For Australian golf especially. Grace Kim had a 5-shot lead going into the final round. Unfortunately, Shot a 1 over 73 and went into a playoff with Lilia Vu, who shot 65, and Lexi Thompson, who closed with a 68. She played with those two superstars in the final group, so I'm sure she learnt a lot playing with those girls. It took 3 playoff holes before Lilia Vu prevailed, but it's going to be a bit of a tough one. It might eat away at her, but looking at the press conference she did afterwards, she handled herself really well and came out of it with a lot of class. So I tip my hat to you, Grace. He actually did stay and do the press conference, by the way, unlike someone.
Yeah. And did it well with tears in her eyes.
Yeah.
You know, when you're welling up and you have to speak about what has just happened, that's a very difficult thing to do.
Tough thing.
And that's you can see what she's made of,
For
Grace
sure.
Kim. She's made of steel.
I did it once where I was leading the Australian Masters final round, playing with Rob Allenby, and he was trying to go for the Triple Crown at the time. And Rob won, played well, beat Bubba Watson. I played pretty ordinary that day, and I thought, you know what, I'll just leave it for Rob to do the press because it's his moment. It's a big thing. And I got pummeled in the papers the next day, and I never, ever not did press ever again after that, after I finished it. It's a hard thing to do when you're playing not great and you've just lost the golf tournament, but you have to do it.
Did you not do the press because you wanted him to have his
I
moment?
wanted him to have his moment, and I wasn't feeling that great, and I thought, I could go, and Rob was sort of heading in the same direction. I said, no, just do Rob, and then I just wandered off to the locker room, and they didn't bother about me because I finished third. So anyway, in hindsight, I should have actually gone and done it. But anyway,
it's a
one of those
sidebar
things.
story that you didn't turn up.
Yes,
and
the media love it,
Yeah.
and they'll hammer me the next day. So it was all good. I learnt my lesson, so I knew to do it afterward.
It was nice of you to mention it, actually.
Yeah, it's all
Really
it's all part of the learning process. Of the Australians at that tournament, this is the Maya LPGA Classic, which Lilia Vu won. Hira Naveed tied for 17th, and Gabby Ruffles as well. So good results for them. Nelly Corder missed the cut. Very unusual for her. Missed
She
by a
won
shot.
7 in a row or
Yeah,
something, and
it's
now she's
just taking it easy, I guess.
missed the cut at the major and now missed the cut somewhere else.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Yeah, that's 2 in a row for her.
Okay.
Maybe she'll get a missed cut streak going.
Maybe it's the end of her. We'll never see her again.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think so.
Sticking with the ladies in America on the Epsom Tour, we had the Otter Creek Championships in Indiana where Savannah Willoughby, I'm going to say Savannah Willoughby, that's how you say it, defeated Yahui Zhang in a playoff.
Hang on, her name's not really Yahui, is it?
Yahui, Y-A-H-U-I. Now, the pronunciation, again, I try and do my best on this, and by the way, I got pulled up last week. Remember we had, I said Samuja,
Yeah.
Kale, and so the proper pronunciation is Kale Samoya.
Samoya.
Yeah, so my buddy from BMW, Wolfgang, he said, mate, in the Nordic areas, it's Samoya, but it's also Kale, not Cali and things like that.
So click in your voice.
You got to have that real. Yeah, I know. So I'm learning as I go. So thanks to
right.
Wolfgang anyway for pointing that out to me. Very good win there for Savannah. Best of the Australians was Cassie Porter tied for 47th. Corn Ferry Tour. Unfortunately, none of the Aussies made the cut there, but they're at the Kansas Wichita Open where Taylor Davidson closed with a 65 and a one-shot victory. On the Challenge Tour, they're in the Czech Republic. Danish Hamish, funnily enough.
Danish Hamish.
Yes, man from Denmark.
Fantastic.
Danish Hamish Brown had a two-shot win.
Yeah.
Best of the Aussies was Blake Windred tied for 23rd. On the Ladies European Tour at the Italian Open, England's Amy Taylor had a one-shot win over Spain's Maria Hernandez. Kirsten Rudge held the first round lead, was going well. She had a tie for 6th in the end, so well done to Kirsten.
She just keeps on playing well.
Keeps playing solid.
Okay, Rudge.
She's going to be on the LPGA Tour soon, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
And it was also good to see West Australian Whitney Hillier back from injury. It's been a year out, so she finished tied for 32nd. It was her first event in a year. So
that's very good.
Well done, Whitney, on getting back out there. On the LET Access Tour, remember the German amateur Helen Bream won last week? Well, she went back-to-back.
You're kidding me.
Won another tournament
Still
there.
an amateur?
Still an amateur. She got to turn pro soon, you think. She's losing out on all this cash.
You're going to be sick of losing, of not making money.
Yeah, so she went back-to-back. But tied for 9th was Hani Song from New Zealand, and Steph Bunk had tied for 13th.
Rewind here. What is the use of going back-to-back as an amateur?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's insane.
Maybe she's still in college, or I'm not sure. Maybe she
Who
wants
on
to...
earth is her management team? Let's just fix that situation up.
Who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
Anyway, continue.
On the Legends Tour, they had the Paul Laurie Match Play Tournament at Hanbury Manor in Hertfordshire in the middle of England. And someone looking for a bit of redemption in their lives, and he managed to do it. Angel Cabrera had the win in the final, defeating James Kingston from South Africa. He won 3-1. Scott Hand and Michael Long both made the quarterfinals, but didn't make it any further. But well done to Angel, because I know he's had his troubles over the past, and he's back playing top-level golf again.
Everyone gets a second chance in life.
Absolutely. And that is the Ping Global results, and hopefully Rory gets a second chance to hole a short putt to win a major.
You mentioned Whitney from WA just before.
Yes.
I reckon if we did a countback mark on these pods, I think WA golfers get a disproportionate amount of airtime.
I've also noticed that.
We're actually very good, is what we've got Minji, Minwoo, Kirsten,
It's just
Hannah.
the tone in which you
Convenient.
use when you
But
speak
she's
about
been
the West Australians, Nick.
out of golf for a year. It's good to see
I'm
her
glad
back.
you picked it up.
Oh, well, I picked up both that and also the fact that Nick gives preferential treatment to ping golf
players.
players.
That's also right.
Of course.
But that's okay. We don't mind that.
I have
That's
a feeling
all right.
Neil Shipley's a ping player too.
Of course he
The
is.
amateur.
There you go.
Yeah, great.
All right, want some feedback, boys?
Please.
A couple of comments from yesterday on Rory. Tim Clark has written in, bad spot above the hole on those greens to leave it. That's a lot of break, though, on a short putt.
I tell you, the pitch he hit with some nervous hands on the front apron of 18, it was a beautiful, beautiful pitch.
The
But
short game was great, I thought.
our correspondent is correct. That was a horrible place. That was the worst putt you could have had from that distance on that green.
Yeah, you had a 4-foot downhill, about a cup left to right.
Yep.
Not what you want to leave
A skidder.
yourself. Oof.
Oh, just the whole lot.
Yep.
Ry Coleman, solid play from Bryson. Does this qualify Rory as a choker? I hate the term, and I always hated people saying it about Norman, as you've got to be bloody good to get there. But does it qualify him as a choker?
I don't
hate
like
that word
I don't
so
like
much.
the word. Yeah, I think the moment got a bit too big for him. I'll say that. I thought 17 and 18 he did hit two good putts. So if you're going to choke,
Yeah.
if you want to call it that, you would have seen a bit of a yip or a whatever.
You would have seen more of what he did on 16.
16, yeah.
Would it be one of the more offensive terms you could call a golfer?
The most offensive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Choker or a shanker.
Tears in your eye. I guarantee you, he would have had had tears in that car that sped off.
Oh,
there would have been tears down his cheeks.
When Bryson hit it into the bunker, from what I saw, he thought,
Ooh,
I've
here
still
we
got
go.
a chance. Here we
Yep.
go. And then I didn't see it after that, so I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
As in, I didn't see Rory after
Well,
that.
if he hit it thick, then he's got the pitch that Rory had. If he hits it a little bit thin, then he's kind of in the clubhouse and
Clubhouse,
impossible to get it close.
55-yard bunker shot. As it was.
Instead, he hit it the 4 foot and nailed the putt. And
Impressive.
see you later. It was clutch and impressive.
We posted the shot of Rory on 18, which was obviously pretty tough. But and I think you'll agree with this, given your top five, Nick. Karen Harding has said, my humble opinion is the miss on 16 is what brought his downfall, not the miss on 18.
Yep. Karen's spot on. Karen knows her stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, Karen, by the way, does a podcast called T for Two, T-E-E. T for Two, and it's a pod for women in golf and the men who support them. And I looked at it this morning. It's actually pretty good. It's really
Good on you, Kaz.
Yep.
Yeah, really good. Okay, some more feedback here. A couple of messages pumping up your tyres, boys. This from Adam McKenzie. Talk Birdie To Me, best golfing podcast, getting around, great insights, lessons, and knowledge on the pro circuit. Keep up the work, lads.
Thank you, sir.
Love it.
And Swaff has said, the best golf podcast out there, insightful, current, funny, it's dubious, makes me nearly look forward to my Tuesday commute home from work.
Good. What's his name? Sloth.
Swaff.
Swaff. Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Hotline.
Righto.
Okay.
Hello, Talk Birdie To Me hotline.
Hello, Nick and Mark. It's Mark from Nudgee here in Queensland on a
Hey,
beautiful
Mark.
day to play golf.
Oh,
Fantastic.
Imagine up there in
You got-
Nudgee.
I think they've got zoysia around their
They
greens
do.
too.
That's exactly right.
Exactly true. And sometimes hitting out of the Zoysia isn't that much fun, let me tell you.
What do you want to talk about, Margo?
Well, I've just got a question for you after watching Rory on the 18th hole. Just missed that short putt. And I think it's interesting, with a short putt, seeing I've missed so many myself. I'm just a 16 handicapper. Though last week I did hit a ball in from 161 metres into the hole for the greatest shot I've ever played.
Holy
Ah,
moly.
good.
Beautiful.
Pretty shameless boasting there.
Was that for an eagle or?
Was it a 2 for 5 points or anything like that?
Unfortunately, it was a 3 for 4 points. I've hit into the trees. I thought I can definitely hit through that 1 foot window, even though many times I can't hit a 40-metre green. And it's hit the tree, bounced back behind me, and I was feeling a little bit, perturbed by that. And I've hit the shot, and I just thought, this is beautiful. And I didn't see it actually go in the hole. I actually thought it flew the green. I go, oh, no. And I'm looking in the reeds, muttering to myself. And then the guy I was playing with goes, Mark, it's in the hole, it's in the hole. And I just couldn't believe it. It was just so excellent.
So it was a slam dunk.
Yep, I'm not sure. I didn't see it, but it landed in the hole, and I was very, very happy.
Oh, Mark, that's fabulous, mate. It is a thrill. It's a thrill for everybody. You can see it doesn't matter who does it. A hardened professional or someone who's new to the game. The thrill of holing a decent length shot. It is fabulous.
Yeah, I've never done anything close to it, so it was wonderful.
So what was your comment on Rory McIlroy, Mark?
Well, I was just thinking about it. Is there ever a time that you've just got to hit the ball in the hole rather than worry about the miss? I felt like Rory was more worried about the miss and where that would leave the ball rather than just confidently hitting it through the break and straight into the hole, which I'm sure he's got the ability to do. Now, I know that's a non-expert opinion from a 16 handicapper. I've missed a ton of short putts, but I was just thinking about that today, and I was wondering what you guys thought.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. The putt he had on 18 he left himself in the worst spot. He really did. It was 4 feet above the hole, downhill left to right, and funnily enough, I was talking about it to the guys that I was with watching this on the TV, and I said, well, he's got two options. He's either got to go left lip and firm, or he's going to have to give it almost a cup left to right and die it in. Mm-hmm. And I think he went for the latter option, just didn't give it enough break. It was a bit of a misread. Now,
yes.
If you go with the firmer option and you do happen to miss, he's going 6 or 7 feet by, then all of a sudden you're staring at double bogey. So I thought he did the right thing. He was just hitting a putt as he normally would in play. He just misread it, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out. If he was a foot closer, then I think he'd take the firm option, because then you're really going to just try and jam it in there. But he was outside that comfortable range.
Yeah, I agree with you. And in those situations, on the 72nd hole of a long tournament, that's when you do get a little bump.
Oh,
yes.
So if you get a bump or a little wobble and you've hit it firm, don't worry about the 3.5 footer you just missed. You got a 6 footer coming back to get in the playoff. So I think he made the right choice. It was just unfortunate that chip that he hit, the beautiful chip that he hit, went to
just
the
went
worst
a bit too far.
possible spot on the green to hit that putt from.
Yeah.
So like the advice you often give, the safe option is always the best option.
Play the percentages, Marco. It never hurts. Good on you, mate. Hey, thanks for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate you and your feedback.
Thank you. I love it.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Good on you.
Bye-bye.
Some more feedback here from Adam Jackson. Great pod again, guys. Marco, you might have Kahuna confused with Kerrang or Barham. You don't drive across fairways at Kahuna Golf Club. You should come back for another look.
Yeah, I might have to.
Okay.
I was sure, Kahuna, you drove across one of the fairways, but I'm probably wrong. Yeah, it was so long ago.
Yeah. Now, we spoke to Paul Gumbleton last week, who is the superintendent at Tevan Valley, who you offered a job as our grass correspondent.
That's right. Yes, I did. He said no.
Immediately said no.
That's right. I was disappointed.
No. But Ben Nielsen's written to us. Ben knows Paul. Ben said, Paul at Tevan has got to be the happiest and friendliest super I've ever run into and will do anything to help anyone. He's a genuine top bloke and no stupid rules about cadets. I played Saturday comp with my 12-year-old this morning, and Paul's been playing comps since he was 10.
Isn't that great?
Brilliant. I think you just misunderstood your question.
Maybe, yeah. Well, we didn't want him every week talking about grass.
Exactly.
Just when we had a question about grass.
He was bloody good, wasn't he?
He was.
He was very good. Yeah. Peter Kennedy's asked, has he reconsidered becoming the grass expert? Well, we don't know.
No, he hasn't.
We don't know. James heard us talking about Brad from the Headland Golf Course on the Sunshine Coast and their Zoysia. Mm-hmm. James has said, I played there last Sunday up on the Sunshine Coast in Pennants. Glad I hit one of the bunker and not in the collar.
Yeah. I forgot it was Headland. I played there a couple of years ago. Glenn Joyner invited me to come and play. It was my first seniors event in this country. And it was great. Yeah. People were fabulous at Headland. It's actually where Roger Davis kind of retired from golf for a little while and ran a motel that was right there out the back of Headland Golf Club.
Really?
That motel's since been bulldozed, and they've got these beautiful apartments up looking over the golf course now. But it was a beautiful place, and special guests arrived on the second day of the tournament. while all the old seniors were wobbling around in, 69s and 70s and 71s. A bloke called Adam Scott turned up. He shot a lazy 10 under that day and made us all feel really hopeless.
Yeah.
We were really bad.
How's
compared to Adam.
his form in playing in non-stop majors, by the way?
Nah, it's
Was that 92 in a row?
Yeah.
92 in a row.
Crazy. There'll have to be some kind of celebration if he gets to 100, surely.
Correct way.
Absolutely will be. Final bit of feedback here. This is from Kiwi Joe in Napier in New Zealand. Now, Kiwi Joe is a greenkeeper. He's been on the pod a couple of times. He looks after Maranui and Awatoto public course over there.
Fabulous.
Look at you go there, Dan. Well done.
Hi, Nick. With Rory and his wife calling off their divorce, they can be removed from your golfing divorce top 5.
That's right.
But I can add a big one that you missed.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Who?
please.
Who?
Tiger Woods and Steve Williams.
Yeah, that is a good one. I like that. I did say Phil and Buns, didn't I?
That was like a divorce when those two split up.
And remember when he was on Scotty's bag and he won with Scotty and he said this is his greatest victory ever. I mean, come on, Steve. I think the emotion got to him a little bit.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
All right, time for the masterclass. Thanks to the Watch My Numbers app, which you can get from Google Play or the Apple Store. Play smarter and use your data.
Very nice little tagline, that one. Play smarter and use your data. Okay, this week is all about pressure putts and what you do when you try to make these pressure putts. Now, the most important thing, in my view, is if you are practicing your putting one way and then under pressure doing it differently, then you're not going to hold too many pressure putts. So I want you to hark back to when you are doing your practice. I want you to try and think about how exact you were trying to be when you're lining the putter face up. Because not many people are trying to be super exact. And if you can hark back a couple of weeks ago to our Steve Bann bonus podcast,
Yes.
you will hear him talking about Ian Baker Finch. Ian Baker Finch mentioned to Stevie a couple of times, and before he won that Open Championship in 1991, that he was trying to be too exact. So he started just plonking the putter down. Just plonk it down and use your athletic ability. You do that all the time when you're practicing your putting. And when you're going through your drills and when you're trying to, if you hold 9 in a row and to go home you've got to hold the 10th one, quite often you will miss that 10th one if you try to be too exact. What you should be trying to do is do exactly what you've just done the last 9 times in a row.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, when a putt means so much, many of us try harder.
Yes.
The real trick to pressure putting is doing exactly what you've trained to do in the months prior to that pressure putt. And quite often in my book, it means don't try to be exact. Because when you're trying to be exact, you do tighten up.
You're tense.
You tense up. Just do what you do all the time and trust the amount of work that you've put in.
Yeah. I love that advice. Tiger Woods always said when someone asked him, what do you do different when you have to make a putt? And he says, absolutely nothing. Absolutely
that is exactly
nothing.
right.
Do you have a favourite short putt drill, like a 3-foot drill that you do? I've got a good one, but
well, look, I'll tell you mine, then you tell yours.
Because this would be great for the listener out there.
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
want to practice those 3-footers, those pressure putts that you think you need to make.
When I'm training to do to play my best, and this is when I was a kid, and this is when I was on the circuit, I would never leave the golf course until I had holed 10 in a row straight, 10 in a row right to left, 10 in a row left to right. Now, later in life, when I stopped playing golf and I was playing something special, that distance was 3.5 feet.
Yeah.
That's it. When I was a professional and, doing and reasonably sharp, it was 6 feet, sometimes 7 feet.
Wow.
If I felt like 6 feet was easy, I'd go to 7 feet. But I would never leave that golf course without doing that drill.
Because you get to that last one. And
that's exactly right. And sometimes it took you 5 minutes.
Yep.
And you're out, you're in the car. See you later. Other times it might have taken me 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But those times where it took 40 minutes, I always felt like that made you.
Yes.
As you turned up the next day feeling rock solid about those short putts.
No, absolutely. My favourite one that I used to do every week on tour, I had a 6-ball, 3-foot circle drill. So I had 6 balls in a circle around a hole with a bit of slope. So you got the uphill, downhill, right to left, left to right. And I would have to hold those 6 in a row 3 times. Yeah. So 18 3-footers in a row. And you get to that 15th, 16th, 17th one, and you're thinking, okay, well, if I miss, I got to start again.
That's
so
it.
you got to lock in and just go through the routine. And the thing that I found the easiest, well, when I finished those the most comfortably was when I got to that 18th one, I just thought, okay, another 3-footer.
That's it.
As opposed to, this is the last one, I've got to make it.
Yeah.
Then you never make it because you tense up.
Got to aim it right.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is
As
that right?
opposed
Is that
to-
right? Is that right?
Yeah. And then funnily enough, whenever I get out on the golf course, I had a 3-footer, I go, oh, just 3-foot circle drill. Perfect. Here we go. Automatic.
That's exactly right.
Now, before we wrap up, guys, it is Tuesday, June 18. Have you heard any updates on the Australian Open?
I'm hearing next week we're going to have an announcement. I'm going to say it's in Victoria, but I'll let Golf Australia make the headlines next week.
Heard something next week. Don't know if it's men only, men and women. Who knows?
No, I've actually stopped asking.
Okay.
And I've just kept on hoping that there's a nice little solution. So
Well, hopefully next week.
hopefully next week, fingers crossed.
All right, boys.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
And thanks for listening to Talk Birdie to Me. We appreciate you listening and getting involved. And a huge thanks to our fantastic partners. Without them, the show just wouldn't be the same. Watch my numbers. Download the app and turn your bogeys into birdies by analysing and improving your game like never before. The Golf Clearance Outlet. Awesome prices on great gear. You can see them in Melbourne, Sydney, Brizzy, Perth, and online at golfclearanceoutlet.com.au. And Ping. See your local golf shop or professional to arrange a Ping Club fitting. They'll help you play your best. If Ping's good enough for Nick O'Hearn, well, that says it all. And we'd love you to get involved with the show. You can leave a voicemail with any comments or questions at talkbirdietome.com.au or send an email or comment on the socials. And if you can share the pod with a friend, well, we'd love that. Talk Birdie to Me's executive producer is Dan Bradley at Kaizen Media. Sound design, Daryl Misson at loudzebra.com. Ox and Marco, a couple of great mates with a fun podcast. And occasionally, well, let's just say, it can get a little sexy.
No, it wasn't my first pash.
Okay.
It was my first
Early.
emotional pash. Or the first one with feelings. In the back of a laser.
Right.
Little Ford laser gear it was too. So it had, it had the velour seats.
First pash, I was 11 years old.
Oh, here we go. 11.
11?
11 years old.
I didn't even know I had anything at 11.
I was on a cricket pitch
Oh,
in Box Hill.
don't tell me you bowled her over.
No.
Ox and Marco's Couple of Blokes podcast. Lots of fun, plenty of banter, and even the odd bit of romance. There's a new episode every Wednesday. Just search Couple of Blokes wherever you get your podcasts.